Okay, I think I'll start introducing myself. So, my name is Madeline. I am the enrollment coordinator for Southern Texas. Oh, you're welcome. I'm the enrollment coordinator for Southern Texas, and I am here to just present to you a bit about our application, the application workshop. So I'm going to try to make it as interactive as possible. There are like 55 people here, so I'm going to try to make it a little interactive. But as you're making your way through your application, hopefully the information I can give today can help you out. And I'm accompanied by a colleague, Britt, who is one of our global education advisors.
Hi, everybody. I'm admitting more people manning the chat over here.
Yes, thank you so much, Britt, for manning the chat. So she will be monitoring the chat for questions that come in. If we start getting a lot of questions and it becomes like too much, I might pause and just say, have you guys unmute yourselves and we'll just do a little Q&A. Yeah, so just bear with us with questions. I'll try to save a good amount of time at the end, so that way you can have your questions answered. So I will go ahead and get started. I'm gonna just present to you a little bit about I'm going to skip past all of these things. Every Wednesday, we have a virtual webinar where we give a general program overview. That would be a great time if you want to learn more logistics. But tonight I'm just going to get into like more specifics on the application. But before doing that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about scholarships. So some of you might be applying to a scholarship. We have two types. We have the Merit and Financial Needs Scholarship. That is eligible for all of our US citizens or permanent residents. You must be a freshman, junior, or sophomore, and you can only accept this award once. So if you apply again next year, you wouldn't be eligible to apply for this scholarship, but you could apply for our merit scholarships. Those are accessible to anyone. So if you're an international student, if you're a senior, and you can accept this more than once. So if you applied and received it this year, you can apply next year and also travel on a merit-based scholarship. So exciting times, and I wanted to skip to this part of the presentation. So this is how to start an application. If you haven't started an application, you're just here to kind of learn more about the process. If you want to walk through it together, feel free to scan this QR code, or you can go to ciee.org/HSSA and apply. That way we can walk through it together. So yeah, so I'm just gonna have this up here for like 30 seconds because I don't want to take up too much time, and we will walk through that. I wonder if there's a way for me to pause this. Oh, okay, there we go. All right, so hopefully everybody who's wanting to apply has been able to scan this QR code. Like I said, you can go to this link right here and apply. And if you want to walk through together, that is a possibility. So I'm going to pause my share right now and looking for I'm sorry, I'm not tech savvy, so it's going to take me a second to figure this out. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to share my screen again. Beautiful. So I just wanted to take a look at our application support page. Let's start there. Oh, I didn't share my screen yet. Share. So we'll start here. So if you go to our website, High School Summer Abroad, at the top we have questions, and then you could click application support. What's great about this website is it has like a little blurb for each specific task that you would walk through on the application. So as you're going through the application, if you have any questions, this can be a great resource for you to kind of answer some of those questions, some of our frequently asked questions. And what's great is it has a little video as well for each specific task, so it can kind of walk you through that as well. So if there's something you forgot tonight, you could always come back to this. And I'm going to go to an application. I created this application, so it's not like a real student, just for privacy purposes. And let's go ahead and just walk through. So you're going to open the application. In the home section, you'll probably see, so you'll see this. You'll click open my application. And then you will see something like this. So when you started the application, immediately it will ask you for what scholarship type. So you will select, for this application, I selected financial need and merit-based scholarship, but you can select merit only. Like I said, that covers 10% of tuition. And then, and we are accepting these scholarships on a rolling basis. So if you applied today and submitted your application today, for example, you could find out within about 1 to 2 weeks time if you were what your scholarship amount would be. So, and then for financial need and merit scholarships, those are 10 to 100%, like I said, and our scholarship deadline and general application deadline is January 18th. So my biggest thing is just get it in by that time. That's a pretty straightforward task. And then we'll come to a little bit about you. So walking through this task, this is just general information that we would like to know. Make sure that for like date of birth, for your sex, all of that, put it as what's listed, what would be listed on your passport. That's really important for us to have that accurate information. And then in terms of gender identity, try to be truthful on this for students who are maybe concerned if somebody else sees this portion of the application. Like, for example, parents, they don't have access to this part of the application. So I just do want people to know that like gender identity, pronouns, we do keep that private. But we want to make sure that we accurately identify you on program and throughout the pre-departure process. And then if there's anything you would like to share, like if you wanted to tell us, like, please keep this private, this would be a great place to put that as well. And then you could put, so this is just general information. You'll put your name, whether you're a citizen or permanent resident. If you'll travel on a US passport, that's really important because when we're getting to review for scholarships, we have to know that. Main interests and hobbies, that helps us to help you figure out what programs you might be interested in. And then in some locations, you will share a room with another CIE participant of the same gender. In most program locations, CIE assigns rooms based on the participant's identified gender. So any special requests on that would go here. And then you'll get a CIEE t-shirt. This helps us during the group flight to identify that, like, when you meet up at the Gateway Airport, you'll have a chaperone who will be looking for you with a CIEE t-shirt. So, and just to have, so you can have those memories. And then getting to the terms and conditions, if there's any parents on the call, this is something to look out for because the terms and conditions section, this needs to be signed by a legal guardian. Students do not sign this part. This is strictly for parents and legal guardians, so that way we know that you're aware of our terms and conditions, of our cancellation policy, of our safety procedures and things like that. So we have to make sure that a parent signs this document. When your student puts in the, or when you put in your parents' contact information, it will send an email to their inbox. So just check in with them afterwards just to make sure that they received it. Sometimes it ends up in like your spam or your junk folder. So I always tell them to tell students to check that. And then this part, if you're a parent who's like applying for your student, you got really excited, started the application, make sure you sign the CIE terms and conditions, this section, and not the participant acknowledgement. This is to be signed by the student who will be traveling on program, just so we know that you have read and understood our terms and conditions as well. Getting to the COVID-19 vaccination status. So we do require that all of our participants, all of our staff members, and our homestays, that they are vaccinated. That's why we ask your vaccination status. If you are not if you choose to not be vaccinated, or if that's if you have would like to have an exemption request, for example, you can click this, and we do have, once you click that, it should show. Okay, well, it's not going to show it for me, but once you would click this right here, I will not be fully vaccinated, it would show an exemption request form. You could choose between a medical or a religious exemption request, and then a CIE liaison will review that form and let you know if your request was accepted or denied. I do really encourage that folks do be vaccinated before traveling, just because I know Europe, for example, it's kind of hard. I know nowadays, now that we're getting to, now that the pandemic is changing, and laws and stuff are changing every day. So it's just helpful for some countries who require to even go into museums or just walk around, for students to have that vaccination status. That way they can adequately participate in activities. So that is that part. If you have any questions, you could.
Do you mind just can you just go over again what it means to be fully vaccinated? We're getting some questions on whether they need boosters. If you could go over that, that would be awesome.
Yes, thank you so much, Britt. So what it means to be fully vaccinated is that you had your first and your second dose, and that you've had it at least 2 weeks prior to the to traveling. On our website, we have hold on. I think I have it somewhere in my resources. COVID-19. You guys get to see all of my little things today. Health, safety, and security right here. So here it will tell you a little, is it on here? I believe it's if you have your first dose and your second dose at least 2 weeks prior to traveling. I know we get some questions about boosters. As of right now, we don't require that you have a booster. It's helpful, but we go based off of the CDC's requirements. And so for us, that just means, I'm trying to find where you can find that on our website. Oh, COVID-19 deadlines right here. That was under health, safety, and security. So as you can see right here, okay. Yeah, just wanted to make sure I'm giving you the correct information. So yes, it has to be at least 2 doses, at least 2 weeks prior to traveling. And Britt, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's correct.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think that is correct. And we can always have families follow up with us through hsabroad@ciee.com if anybody .org if anybody has questions as well.
Beautiful. All right. I'm going to move on to financial needs specifics. Okay, so this portion is also something to look out for parents as well. We need your 1040 tax forms. When you open this task, it will give you the opportunity to download this form. If it will load. So it will you can download this, and it will show you like everything you need to fill it out. I thought it gave you the form on here. And then you'll just use the information from your tax returns to fill out this section right here. The reason why we ask for the 1040 tax form is we use that to determine the financial need scholarship. So if you are applying for a merit and need scholarship, you will see this task on your account. If you're applying for, if you're not applying for a scholarship, or if you're not applying for, if you're only applying for merit-based scholarships, you won't see this task. This is just to determine that 10 to 100% threshold, how much we will be allotting. So this part is really important. And then you will upload any your acceptable financial supporting documents to verify that. You can find a list of those documents under here. So yeah. And then moving on, for another part of the scholarship application is your transcript. So we will ask for your cumulative GPA and then ask if you've taken any AP or honors level classes. You will then upload your transcript. We ask that it was a transcript from the fall 2021 or 2022 2021 to 2022 year. And if you are a freshman applying, you can upload your transcripts from 8th grade, because sometimes we get those questions. So that is important. And if you're wondering, I've had some students ask me, how do I find those transcripts? Contact your guidance counselor. They're usually a good resource for where to find those. In case of emergency, I try to tell my students to please fill this out like early in the application stages, because us as enrollment coordinators, it's not until you fill this section out that we get your parents' contact information. It's really important that we have their information, because before we can accept your application, we have to have some kind of conversation with your parents just to know that they're aware of the application, that they are on board, to dispel any questions they might have. So this is a really important section, I think, to get done early in the application process, so we can see it, so we can start contacting them. And you'll state if you live with, who you live with, if your parents speak English. We ask this because I know in Texas South, for example, we have a lot of Spanish speaking parents. If your parents don't speak English, or only speak Spanish, or I think we have French speakers, Spanish speakers, and a Mandarin speaker on our staff. So if they need to talk to somebody, Spanish, for example, we have a link to book a call in another language, so that way they can have those questions answered. I know that that's a huge question that a lot of students will ask, like, my mom only speaks Spanish, but she really wants to talk to somebody to learn more about the program. And I think on December 1st, we are actually having a virtual presentation. If you go to that link I put in the chat, they can register here and go to a virtual presentation to learn more about our programs in Spanish. But that's why this question is super important. And then you'll put in their information. So yes.
Madeline, real quick, on the topic of parents and legal guardians, to a few questions about sorry, I just lost it. Okay, students that are living with both parents, or do you need both parents' tax forms, or only the custodial parents? Isn't it who the students live with?
Yes, it's who the students live with. So whoever you live with, you would need their tax form. But I didn't usually. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, we're accepting 2021 tax forms, right? Is not 2020?
I believe so. Let me check to make sure. Yep, so it's the 2021 or 2022 IRS tax form.
Okay, thank you. I thought so. Okay, thank you. And then the other question we have right now is in terms of rolling admissions, students can apply for, they can do a merit only scholarship for rolling admissions, or do they need to wait till the application for the scholarship deadline of January 18th?
So we just changed how we're processing applications. So right as of right now, students who are applying without a scholarship, or if they're applying on a merit only scholarship, can have their applications processed now and find out now their scholarship award for merit only, I believe.
Thank you. That I just wanted to clarify that too. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you. Please stop me again, because I'm not looking at the chat. So if
I
there's
got
any
you.
more questions.
You're doing a great job.
Beautiful. All right. So moving on, another important part of the application is program interest and language experience. Listen up for all those who are applying for merit and need. I selected this option because this is the longest application out of the three options. So if you're applying for merit and need, you're gonna choose your top three choices. So what that means is take a look. If you haven't chosen your three quite yet, I want you to take a look at our website. Go here to program search. And what I love, love, love about our website is whatever you're looking for, you can find it. If you want to look for specific programs for Spanish language and culture, if your goal is I want to advance my Spanish, what programs can I apply for to do that? On our website, you can find all programs for that just by clicking this. If you want to apply for a thematic program and you're interested in business, for example, you can click search and then find just our business programs. If you want to search on region, so you're like, okay, this summer I want to be in Europe. What's all our European programs? If you want to search based off of a country, you're like, I really want to be in England this summer. Let's look at all our England programs. So that's what's really great about this part of our website, the program search, is you're able to really, I'm going to put this in the chat, you're able to really get a feel for and just kind of click through to see what you like. Some more advice I give when you're making a decision, 80% of our scholarships go towards language and culture programs. Our donor, Sherry, I think her name is Sherry Long. Correct me if I'm wrong, Britt. But her big motivator is she wants kids to learn the language. So a lot of our focus is into our language and culture programs. So 80% of our scholarships go there. So I suggest a top two, one of these needs to be a language and culture program. That's just going to really widen your chances. And then another thing, when you're choosing three programs, make sure they're three different programs. Sometimes I get students who really want to go to South Korea, like our K-pop immersion. This is one of our most popular programs, and they might put this 3 times because they're thinking, oh, if I put it 3 times, that really widens my chances to be accepted into this program. And that is actually not the case. That can deter your chances. So really choose 3 distinct programs for this program choice. Just because we get super popular programs. I know our programs in Japan are super popular this year. And we can't send 400 students to Tokyo, Japan. So we might have to defer to your second choice or your third choice. So just find three programs that you really, really like, you're really interested in, and make sure to put 3 different ones. If you selected a language and culture program, we will ask you, like, did you select a language culture program? Did you select 2 or more? Let's say you say yes, for example. And why we ask for your languages experience is because our French and our Spanish language and culture programs, those require at least a year of high school instruction for our regular programs and 2 or more years for our advanced programs. If you apply for one of those, we want to just ensure that you've had that prior instruction. So that's why we kind of ask a little bit more on your language experience. And it gives us a feel for what your goals are, how much experience you've had in the target language, and how much you would like to progress. When you travel on program, you'll take what's called a stamp test. We have a pre and post stamp test, and this kind of just gives us an ability to gauge your progress on program. So this section is really important as well, as you start going through the website and figuring out what intrigues you, what interests you, you can start to choose. If you selected that you won't apply for a scholarship, or if you're applying for just a merit-based scholarship, you will have this task, but it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to ask you these questions like, what do you see as your greatest challenge while participating in a summer abroad program? What are goals you'd like to achieve? And then ask you once again, if you selected a language and culture program and it was French or Spanish, it'll ask you a little bit about the high school courses that you've taken. So that is that task. Hopefully, if anybody has any if I need to stop, let me know.
Madeline, I have a quick question. Do we have in terms of applying for the financial needs scholarship, do we have an answer for anybody who's asking what the ceiling is for a salary and how we award the scholarships?
A ceiling, you mean like
if
can
I'm trying, is there like a average salary that, it says, what is the income ceiling for
oh, like an
financial
income?
scholarship? Yeah, I'm unsure of that.
We actually don't have an income threshold. I know that, yeah, as far as I know, we don't have an income threshold. We determine for, because there's a variety of factors that we look into. Like, I had a case with a student, her tax forms wasn't super reflective of her financial status, because her family had a huge medical emergency that required like things to change. And so I think that's part of the reason why we don't look into a specific income threshold. So my best answer is just to apply, just to see how much you can be awarded. And of course, when you apply, we'll let you know at late February your scholarship award announcement, and you'll have 2 weeks to kind of look at that award amount and kind of discuss with your family and decide if this would be the best time and fit for you to travel. But yeah, hopefully, I know that didn't super answer your question, but we don't have an income threshold.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So just moving on, I'm going to go to the payment form. So the application, there is an application, a non-refundable application fee of $25. Yes, that task is pretty straightforward. This is where you would pay, put your card information, all that jazz. Sometimes we get questions about like I do want to remind folks that this is non-refundable. So like if you do cancel it, we usually don't refund this fee if you cancel the application. And then moving on to short essay questions. So these are going to be on a merit and need or a merit only based scholarship application. This gives us a sense of who you are, what your interests are, some of your background, some of your challenges, what you're excited about with study abroad. Please just don't half do these. These are really important because, like I said, it shows us who you are. And I think some of the biggest deterrents for students is they don't proofread their answers. So my biggest advice is go to an English teacher, go to a guidance counselor and say, hi, I'm applying for study abroad. I filled out these short essay questions. Can you just give me some good feedback on my responses? Just because they can usually steer you in the right direction towards some good feedback. Also, writing these short essay questions in a Google Doc can be really helpful, just to make sure none of your information gets lost. You'll always have it. This is also really great practice for college applications. I remember when I was applying for college scholarships, this is about what it would look like. You write a short essay question. It would be a certain amount, not too long, but not too short. You have to and the biggest thing too, make sure you answer the question. I think some people get so caught up in thinking about what they want the information they want to give CIEE, but just read the question, and at the end of the day, make sure you answered the question. And that's why I say get some feedback on these, because English teachers are really good about being like, okay, this is a cool answer, but you didn't really answer the question. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on some advice for those.
And Madeline, just because things are this year for merit only, it's a bit different. Do students have to answer the 3 short essay questions if they're doing merit only?
Yes, I've seen on the merit only applications, they also answer these short essay questions.
Got it. I incorrectly answered that. So thank you for fixing that answer for me.
Oh, no, no worries. Yeah, it's because for these, the reason why both applications have these is because um we use this is like the merit part. So like this is like this is you like really proving yourself in your application, showing why you want this and why you deserve to have this a scholarship to fund your opportunity. So yeah, that's this is really great practice. Like when I applied for college scholarships, it was very similar to this format. So yes. And then moving on to student contact information, this task is super straightforward. Make sure the address that you put in your in this section is the same address as the emergency contact that you listed. When we're reviewing applications, we always make sure that those addresses are the same. So make sure that those are the same. Otherwise, we'll tell you to go back and fix that. Make sure your phone number is your phone number. If you have a phone number, make sure it's yours, because any like student specific information we have, we're going to send it to that. And yeah, I think that task is very straightforward. I will move on to the teacher recommendation. So the teacher recommendation, a lot of students ask me like, who should I choose? So for what we're looking for a teacher who's had you in a class. Preferably, I think a language teacher would be really helpful because they've had you in a language class, so they know your language learning skills, they know like how you operate in that setting. But it doesn't have to, it could be like a math teacher, like it doesn't have to be a language teacher. But the most important fact is that they've had you in a class for more than 6 months, that they're not related to you, so they can't be like a family member. And they have to just know how you are in a classroom setting. If you're like a transfer student and you had a different teacher at another school, you can use them as well. It just has to be that they've had you in their class. And another thing, when for this, you put in their contact information and then it sends to their email. So once you put their contact information in, confirm with the teacher that they received an email from hsabroad@ciee.org, just to make sure that like if there was any like tech issues on the back end, we can get that all squared away. And then the very final part of your application, I want to wrap this up so we can get to questions, is your final thoughts. So we're going to ask, how did you hear about CIEE? That always helps us. And then if you were referred by an individual, that's really helpful as well. And then most important, if you are an alum, this is important to fill out because it lets us know who to apply that discount to. Alumni, they get an automatic 10% discount when they apply again. And then if you have a sibling who's traveled with us, we also have a sibling discount that can be applied. It's also 10% off of the tuition. So it's really important. And if you do put your sibling, make sure to put their first and last name and the year that they traveled or the summer that they traveled. So that way we can easily find them. And then that will wrap that up. And then once you complete this, you'll be done with your application. For my merit only students, please keep in mind that when you submit your application, you'll find out a response within about 1 to 2 weeks if you were accepted into the program or not. This also applies to students who are not applying for a scholarship. If you're not applying for a scholarship, you probably would have finished this really quickly because there's not so many tasks. You'll find out within about 1 to 2 weeks or sooner. And then once you've been accepted, within 2 weeks time, your confirmation task will be due. We'll have to confirm with a non-refundable deposit, and then we'll also have to confirm with a few just like miscellaneous tasks such as like your passport, a health form, an ID photo, and then we'll get you rolling on the pre-departure process. So that is all I had. Britt, did you have anything to add?
Well,
Yeah,
I've got lots of questions. And
beautiful.
I think you did a great job. I don't have anything to add at this time, but there seems to be a theme of in terms of a teacher recommendation, we suggested that students have had the teacher for at least 6 months, right? That's
Right.
right. And so I hope that answered a lot of people's questions regarding, who should the teacher be? It's more that it's great if it's a teacher like your French teacher and you're applying for a French program, but again, it can also just be a teacher that you've had for at least 6 months and pretty well and obviously have a good relationship with. And then what is the non-refundable deposit after the $25 is paid?
So this applies to merit only and direct enroll. Direct enroll just means you're not applying with a scholarship. This only applies to these students. So if you are applying for one of those for that scholarship or you're not applying for a scholarship, we'll ask for a $1,000 deposit. That is non-refundable. It's your confirmation into the program. And if you are merit in need, I've had a lot of questions about this. If you're merit in need, I don't believe don't keep that $1,000 amount in your head just because some merit need students, they might have like 80% of their tuition covered, they might have 100% of their tuition covered. That deposit, it goes towards your program balance. So yes, hopefully that answered the question.
Thank you. Getting caught up on some more questions here. Let's see. What if you apply and get accepted into a program, but something comes up and need to pull out? Will you be able to last minute and possibly get a refund?
Applied, were accepted, you needed to pull out. So up until you're confirmed, so like I said, the deposit that you put in to confirm your spot, that would be non-refundable. But if let's say you applied, you're accepted, and then you're like, I don't want to confirm, my plans have changed, anything like you can pull out. In terms of refunds, I think I want to say, Britt, if you could help me on this, because I haven't dealt a lot with refunds. I want to say that it's a little bit more case by case, but
Exactly. It's definitely case by case. So we would address that when the time comes with the appropriate answer to make sure, we accommodate everyone in that. And again, it's a case by case, thing that we can try to do, but it's not guaranteed.
yes,
And,
thank you.
oh, and then someone's been asking if they submitted their application but wanted to fix something, how can they go about getting it back?
Fix something, it depends on what the thing is to be fixed. Like if it was a scholarship task and you're like, oh, I put something in my straight essay question, but I kind of want to change it, that can't be fixed. Like once you submit it, it's done. But if you need to fix like your home address was wrong or like something more logistical or like your phone number or something, that can easily be fixed. Just email us at hsabroad@cie.org. And we can easily get that squared away.
Great. And then one of them was a teacher recommendation. They wanted a different teacher, I guess, than who they had asked. But
I think they might be able to change it if the teacher hasn't filled it out yet.
yeah.
That's a more specific question. I would say to that question, go ahead and email our inbox. That way your enrollment coordinator can check up on it because I don't want to give the wrong information. I know if the teacher hasn't filled out the recommendation, that can easily be fixed. But if
Yeah.
they've already filled it out, that might be more work on the back end.
Yeah,
So I
I definitely I put the email address in the chat, so that's good. And I just want to let all these families know that we have this is more about the application, not the specific program or health and safety concerns. We have a website that is full of all of our safety and security precautions that we take. And as the programs get closer, or after students are confirmed to go, there will be webinars for families and students to attend that go over all the safety measures. You will get an opportunity to meet the center staff and talk to your host families. So again, this is more about just the application, not the program itself.
Yes, and I'm going to put a link in the chat to our bookings page. This link, you can book a appointment with one of your enrollment coordinators, and if you have like really specific like safety concerns or like concerns about the program, or you just want more information, this is a great resource. You can book with one of our enrollment coordinators, preferably book with the one in your state, because that would be your point of contact. But of course, like any of our enrollment coordinators are happy to help. But that's a good resource if you want to talk through some more specific questions, because like Britt said, tonight we're just focusing on applications. Was there any, I see Sarah you have your hand raised, so if you'd like, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, yeah, so thank you. I had a question. Could I choose an art teacher that has known me for 4 years as a person to write my teacher recommendation letter?
Yes, have you had a class with this art teacher?
Yes, for 4 years.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, an
Okay,
art
thank you.
teacher is totally fine. Like I said, you could choose any teacher. Our main focus is that they've had you in a class.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. If it's easier, if anybody else wants to raise their hand, because I think I'm going to move towards more of a Q&A portion of the for these last 15 minutes. So if anybody else wants to raise their hand, Grace, I see your hands raised. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi. In the section about the program interest and language experience, there are like the 3 questions at the bottom about like challenges, goals, and like why you want to participate in like the specific country. Should I talk about like just my first choice program, or should I talk about all of them?
I would say make it more general to any program that you would be traveling on. Yeah, I think it's good to just be a little bit more general for those questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Jada, you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, yes, I have a question. So I know you were talking about teacher recommendation and how we should possibly use a language teacher. However, I took Spanish in high school, but the program I'm applying for is not in a Spanish speaking area. Should I still use my Spanish teacher?
No, that was just a suggestion. So I don't want to confuse anybody. That was just a suggestion, like me, if I was applying to a Spanish program and I had a Spanish teacher, I might choose them. That was just an example. You can choose any teacher who you have a good relationship with, who knows how you are in a learning environment, who's not a family member.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And then Madison, if you want to unmute yourself.
My art teacher, I've been in her like clubs for like 3 years. I'm my senior year now. And I have her in my class. I'm in her class this year. Is it possible to get her recommendation or no?
Wait, so wait, can you repeat? So you haven't had her in a class?
No, this is my first year in her class, but I've been in her clubs for 3 years.
I think that's fine. Correct me if I'm wrong, Britt. I think that's okay. Well, actually, I think it'd be better if you had a teacher who had you in a class. The only reason I say that is because they can determine how you like how you are in a learning environment, just because this is like an educational program and you will be taking classes abroad. Um, but yeah, Britt, if you want to chime in as well.
I was
too.
gonna say, yeah, no, it should be a teacher. I saw some questions about a guidance counselor. It should be a teacher that you've had for at least 6 months. That's what we advise and recommend. So, you know, it's great that you have great relationships with other, educators, but it should be someone who's had you in a class.
Okay, so how would I go about because I already put her as my teacher recommendation. How would I go about getting someone else as my recommendation?
Did you already did? Oh,
No,
go ahead,
Mel,
Britt.
you go.
My just follow-up question, did the teacher, your art teacher, did they already fill out that teacher recommendation portion?
I think so. I sent her the email like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, that's gonna be a little bit more specific, and I can't tell you off the top of my head. So
Alright.
my best next steps would be to that email that Britt put in the chat, go ahead and email your situation to to that email, and then your enrollment coordinator will follow up how to
Yeah,
fix that.
that's a good answer for that. Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
Of course. And maybe explain the reason that you're changing it is because it's a teacher that you haven't had for 6 months, just to give them some more background. Alrighty. Luna, you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah. In the section that talks about a little about you, there's a question about hobbies. How much should we have written for that? Like, should we have it in paragraph form?
That can be list form. You could put, that doesn't have to be in like paragraphs. You don't have to spend too much time on that one. Just like maybe just a few hobbies that you're interested in, like I play volleyball on the weekends or something like that. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Um,
All right.
there seems to be some confusion around the $1,000 deposit. So just to be clear, everybody, once you are accepted into the program, the way you have to confirm your spot is to pay a non-refundable $1,000 deposit. So that even if you have a financial needs scholarship, we still require that $1,000 deposit.
Right. And before we even accept you, we'll usually have a conversation with your parents, just to make sure that they're aware as well, the next steps in the process, just so they're not like, oh, now I have to pay $1,000 from this company that I'm like not aware of. So we'll usually talk with them about that as well too.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna have Sarah, you can unmute yourself.
Hi. So back to my question that I was speaking about. Our school is an art school. It's a high school art school. So we have like art teachers, like dance teachers, writing teachers. So I wanted to use a dance teacher. Am I able to do that? I've known her. It's the same teacher that I've known for 4 years, but she's a dance teacher, so I'm not sure if it's the same.
Yes, the dance teachers, as long as you've had, like, blanket for everybody, as long as you've had a class with them, they could be a pottery teacher, they could be, I don't think they have home economics anymore, but if you had home economics, if it was a shop class, whatever teacher who's had you. I just suggested like a language teacher. Those were just examples because they usually know how you are in language class. But it can be any teacher that you've had for at least 6 months, is what's recommended.
Another question was that you just mentioned that if you're a financial need, as if you're applying for the scholarship, the Global Navigator scholarship, you still will have to pay the $1,000 non-refundable fee. Is that correct?
No, not that $1,000 deposit was more directed towards merit only because we are accepting merit only and non-scholarship applicants right now on a rolling basis. For merit and need, you will not find out about your acceptance nor your scholarship announcement until after that January 18th deadline. So your like announcement's going to look a little bit different than those who are applying directly enrolling without a scholarship or those who are applying for the merit-based 10% scholarship. So please, if you're merit in need, just like take the $1,000 deposit out of your brain because it might not apply to you. Because like I said, CIEE, we're a nonprofit, so any money that's given to us goes to programs and goes to our students. So of course, like if you have 100% scholarship award, you're not going to pay $1,000 towards your program balance because you won't have $1,000 to pay. So that's why I say it's just applicable to our merit only and our non-scholarship applicants.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I think the next person was Gabriella. So go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I was just wondering for my transcript, so I have one that like contains my grades from freshman year, sophomore year, but then for junior year, we don't have like quarter grades. So it just says all the classes I'm taking for junior year. Does that still count even though it doesn't have my grades, if it still has my GPA and stuff like that?
I believe we just want your most recent academic year. So it's fine to just give like your transcripts from like last year, like from 2021 to 2020 to 2022, like that academic year.
So I don't need to have any of my grades from this current school year?
I don't believe so. If we did, we'll follow up with you, but it's just the 2021 to 2022.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then Skylar, I think you were next.
Hi, so I have two questions actually. My first question is, so if we're in the Running Start program, I don't know if you know what that is. I know that it's called different programs on like the West Coast versus the East Coast, but it's college, like graduating your senior year, you would also graduate with your associate's degree. And I'm in that program, and I was just wondering where I would put that on my application.
I don't think you would need to put that on your application. What we're looking for, are you like asking like for the transcripts portion of your application?
Kind of just in general, because I don't know if that's like information you guys need or if I need to talk to like a counselor about it.
No, that's not like any information. I mean, that's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear you're in a program like that. But we
Thank
don't. Yeah, of course. But we don't need like that information. So don't worry about that.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. And then my last question was, if we do get accepted into the program, how long do we have to accept and get that $1,000 deposit in?
So you'll have 2 weeks, and when you find out your acceptance, your enrollment coordinator should call you and then also send you an email, and they'll let you know the specific day, like the specific deadline day.
Okay, sounds perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course. Okay, Grace, you're up next.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering, like, what would happen if like you ended up getting accepted into a program, but like not getting like the scholarship accepted? Like, would you have to pay a fee for that, or would you just like not go?
If you got accepted into the program and you didn't get a scholarship, we would let you know. In February, you'll find out, and then you'll have about. I'm gonna just mute you super fast, Dailies. I'm gonna just mute you really fast. But you'll find out, and then you'll have 2 weeks to decide. So we'll usually say, okay, here's the program that you're accepted into, here's your scholarship amount, or if you got a scholarship or not, and then let us know like your plans. And you'll just have like 2 weeks to decide yes or no.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then Sarah.
Are there two separate applications, as in the Global Navigator and then the actual program that you want to apply for?
Are you applying for, so if you're applying for a Merit and Needs scholarship,
Correct.
That's the scholarship you're applying for?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you open, so beautiful, this application example I have is applicable to you. So when you start an application, one of the first questions they'll ask you is, are you applying for a scholarship? The reason it asks you is because the system is trying to determine which type of application to show you. And so when you select this, then every task here is everything that you'll need to complete in terms of the general application and the scholarship. So you won't have to create like a separate account for the scholarship application and for the program application. And for Merit in Need, just remember how it works is you choose your top 3, and then we'll review your application, and based on availability, we'll choose one of those 3.
Okay, so if I was to do, for example, for the first option, Inside World Government, that it'll automatically, once I submit the application for the Global Navigator, it will also put me into the first choice that I chose, and then also along if there's availability. Wait,
can you say that question again? I don't think it fully registered in my brain.
So sorry. So if I'm doing the Inside World Government in Netherlands, and I put that as my first option, once I submit this application, the whole Global Navigator application, does it put me into the application of going into the government worlds?
No, so you'll put 3 options. You'll submit your application, make sure there are 3 different options. It's really important that they're 3 different. And then we will review your application. And then in February, you'll find out if you're accepted into a program and then which program it was. So it's not gonna, and then once you're accepted into the application, well, maybe that was your question. So once you're accepted into the application, into the program, then it will change to, I think that was your question. Yeah, once you're accepted, it will change into the program that you're applying to.
Okay, so I have the possibility of getting into either of the 3 options, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Because we are pressed for time, it's now, well, for me, it's 7 o'clock because I'm in Arizona, but now it's been about an hour, so I don't want to take up too much more time. So I'm just going to answer Naomi's question, and then Britt put in the chat, if we don't get to your question, just email us at hsabroad@ciee.org. And of course, we usually answer questions within about like a day or 2. So yeah, so I'll have Naomi, if you want to unmute yourself, and this will be the last question for the night.
Okay, thank you. I'm applying for the Merit and Needs Scholarship, and I was wondering that if I do get accepted into one of the programs that I choose, and if I don't decide to go, is there a fee? Is there a fee I have to pay?
If you don't decide to go after you've already been confirmed, so before you confirm, there's no commitment, so you don't have to pay a fee to cancel that application. If you get accepted into the program and you decide not to confirm onto that program, then there's no fee. You just cancel it and then that's it. If you confirm and you pay like some kind of deposit and then start making like payments and stuff like that, that's where it gets more tricky, and that's where it might be helpful for us to send our cancellation policy, but that's where it becomes like a case-by-case basis depending on your situation.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for joining tonight. Jennifer, yes, there will be a, I hope this, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Yes, it's
Yeah, so we,
recording.
yes, it's been recorded. Thank you, Britt. So we've been recording this meeting. So we will have one of our staff members send this meeting in an email. Bye, everybody. Have a nice night.
Thanks, Madeline. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Thanks, Britt. You've been so
Yes.
helpful.
Good night. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.